One thing about working with Don Davis Luxury Realty Group, DDLRG, broker by EXP, we not only sell you a luxury home, we sell you a quality of life. So that way, when you have a luxury home, you have a luxury vehicle. That's why we're at the Houston Ferrari Festival, where we come once a year to talk about the Texas Children's Cancer Center, where they donate money to go back towards a good cause. But at the same time, you see some of these road toys, the finest cars in the greater Houston area. Once again, when it's time to make a business decision about your luxury home, it's a Don deal. Welcome to another episode of the Don Davis Real Estate Show. It's your host, Don Davis of DDLRG, broker by EXP. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. Upon that rock he built his church. Upon that rock we've built our business, and our results are a reflection of our character. If you'd like to verify that instead of just listening to us, you can go ahead and check us out online anytime through HAR Platinum Reviews of Don Davis Luxury Realty Group, broker by EXP. You can also check out Zillow Reviews, Homelight Reviews, Redfin Reviews. There's a plethora of places to find out where to spend your money with, who to spend your money with, where to spend your money, and who to trust with the biggest decision of your life, and that's the decision to buy or sell a home. So once again, Don Davis Luxury Realty Group, coming off a great Thanksgiving. I want to give everybody a shout out. Whoever had family in town and was able to accommodate everybody and enjoy Thanksgiving, that was definitely a blessing. We definitely had about 12 dishes. Get a shout out to my wife for making us nice and full for about 3 days straight. I mean, leftovers on leftovers. Had a great Thanksgiving, and at the same time was able to see the kids and send them home. It's nothing like having grown kids where you can stop by, enjoy them for a few minutes, and then send them back to their house where they can go ahead and continue to prosper. Also enjoyed some Thanksgiving football. You know, I'm a big football fan, and that's kind of what I want to touch on today in the real estate segment. We're going to touch on how football, real estate, and things go on and connect. We tell everybody, people say, well, why do you still let your kids play football? You understand it's a dangerous sport with concussions and things like that. But what I have found is the rewards of the camaraderie of kids playing together and becoming better men later on in life beyond the game is irreplaceable. So they say, well, Don, you really willing to risk your kid getting injured by allowing them to play this sport? And I hate to say it, but I say yes, because I know, first of all, there's injury prevention by working out and training your body to play this sport. I know it's a safe sport. I know it helped me transition from a very bad neighborhood into an upper echelon neighborhood that I'm in now by keeping me focused not only on the field, but in the classroom. So that's what I see one of the biggest benefits of football in our youth today. But while I'm at the football game, I was noticing a difference of comments that are being made. So we lost, my son plays for Katy High School. We lost a very tough game to Galena Park North Shore this week. Shout out to Demetrius Davis for doing what he does best. But when you're at a game like that, you hear comments. So you got people sitting next to you in the stands. You got some people saying, we shouldn't have ran this, we shouldn't have ran that. Some people just saying, we're going to win. We're just going to win because we are who we are. And so I started evaluating how people do the same thing in real estate. In real estate, you'll see people go with blind faith and buy a property just because it's the thing to do. So I call those real estate fans. They know enough to be dangerous. They want to just go with blind faith and say, hey, I'm approved and I'm going to buy a house. They haven't watched any film. They haven't calculated principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. They haven't calculated the appreciation rate. They haven't looked at the crime rate. They haven't looked at the school rates. They haven't looked at the chance of establishing equity. They haven't looked at the flood map to find out if it's in the flood zone. They haven't looked in the homeowners association's deed restrictions to find out if the property allows you to have a home daycare, because a lot of times nowadays you can operate a business out of a residence in certain homeowners associations. So I started noticing in sports, as we have in real estate, you have some people who are fans of real estate, and then you have some people who practice real estate. And that's where you see the difference. So imagine this. So I'm sitting at a football game, and you hear, of course, you're going to hear the daddy ball. You're going to hear where you need to give it to so-and-so. You need to throw it to so-and-so. So that's daddy ball. You already eliminate them from day one. because they haven't evaluated. They have a biased interest in who should get the ball, because that's just straight daddy ball. Just give it to so-and-so. You have to take yourself out of the equation. Same thing when you're buying a house, you have to take yourself out of the equation. You can't have an emotional attachment. Anybody who has an emotional attachment to a property will always, especially if you're the seller, you will overprice the property because you're thinking about the memories of your family in that particular piece of real estate, and you're trying to say that it's worth more than it actually is. That's why it's always good to bring a third-party appraiser in to give you an honest, non-biased opinion of value. We need honest, non-biased opinions of values. We don't need daddy ball or when we're talking about selling your property. We don't need to say my house is worth $500,000. I bought it for $300,000, but it's worth $500,000 just because I lived here. Now, as much as I'm sure you do have some authenticity to yourself and a signature brand, you have to always realize a property is only worth what a buyer and seller are willing to pay. When it's all said and done, you could tell me your property is worth millions of dollars. Will somebody make you an offer for that amount? If you're not getting an offer for that amount, you're just smoking mirrors. So that's one of the first segments I want to talk about, just on the fact that, hey, we can't be fans when it's time to sell a property. We have to be practitioners, and practitioners are able to evaluate and give an honest opinion of value to say, this is exactly what my house is worth. This is what I want for it. This is what it will sell for. I can't just go in and say, just because this is my baby, he needs to get the ball. All right, we're going to go ahead and head to our first break. Love where you live, love where you work. DDLRG. I am Don Davis of DDLRG Luxury International Real Estate, and when it's time to make a business decision about your residence, please keep in mind, it's a Don deal.
You want to excel, Don Davis is a great guy to work for. I mean, he's a great teacher and a great leader.
He's more than family. He's the guy that's actually helping me roll. I didn't know anybody when I moved out here. He's the guy rolling his sleeves up saying, come on, let's go move what you got to move.
When it's time to make a business decision about your residence, it's a Don deal. We're back. Don Davis, Luxury Realty Group. Love where you live, love where you work. Love's gonna get you. DDLRG, love where you're from. We were just talking about how sellers cannot act like parents act on the football field. And when parents say, hey, you need to throw it to my baby, give it to my baby. You can't have an emotional attachment, even though your house is your baby. When it's time to sell your property, let your baby go and move forward to the next phase in life. We cannot baby a teenager. If your baby's 18, it's time to let your baby lead a house. If your baby, even if you have a kid and you have done everything you've done to prepare them for life, then go ahead and let them go. If you have a house, you've taken care of the house, you changed the air filters, you made sure there's drainage around the foundation, you made sure that you always wrap the pipes every time it was a freeze. You done what you needed to do, and now you want to put that property on the market. Go ahead and let it go. Let the emotional attachment go and sell that house for the highest amount in the quickest period of time without any emotional attachment, so you can move on to the next phase of your life. Now, that's on the seller's side. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about the buyer's side. In football, we have something called Monday morning quarterback. Monday morning quarterback is where they say, I wouldn't have called that play. I wouldn't have did this. I wouldn't have did that. He should have did this. He should have did that. Everybody else can make a comment when somebody else is making the decisions. They say the higher you are up, the more of your rear end people see. And so it's easy to call a game after the game, Monday morning quarterback. But when you're on the field, when you're in the transaction, when you're in the negotiation period, it's a lot harder to make those decisions. That's why you have to trust a real estate professional that can help you. Like I say, a professional, not a fan. You don't want a fan of real estate. A fan cannot tell you why your team will win. A professional can tell you the reason this team is going to beat this team because their linebackers don't stay in the middle and the middle of the field is open. They can actually put together an analysis to tell you why they're going to win. So you want a real estate practitioner instead of a fan who can actually analyze how you plan to win that transaction instead of a real estate Monday morning quarterback. So give me an example of a real estate Monday morning quarterback. I often sell houses to certain cultures, and even my culture, that tend to like the opinion of a lot of family members and friends. And I totally get it. We all are people pleasers in some realm or in one realm or the next. But at the same time, if you've made a good decision on a property, don't let anybody talk you out of your blessing. I had a homeowner recently. She bought a home. She had a housewarming party. She brought her church friends. She brought everybody in, and everybody, I hate to say it, but everybody that came to the housewarming party was not happy. They were Monday morning quarterbacking this lady all day, pretty much saying, why'd you buy here? This, that, and the other. They didn't have all the answers. They didn't watch film on this transaction. They didn't see her pre-approval letter, her debt to income ratio, her commute to work, her proximity to home, how far she needed to be from this, that, and the other. So they only had the end result, and then they want to Monday morning quarterback and try to tell her what she shouldn't have bought. You cannot do that. Everybody's financial fingerprint is totally different. So when it's all said and done, you need to buy what's best for you and your family and be happy with what God has for you. It's very important that we realize not to become covetousness of everyone else, but at the same time understand everything has a place and a season to graduate from one point to the next. So you might be looking for a larger home. Like some people are graduating from an apartment to their first time home buyers. And that's what this particular lady was. She was just trying to she told me, Don, I walked out one day and my son saw yellow tape around our apartments and I knew it was time to buy a house. So then how can you have a friend tell you, well, I wouldn't have bought that house, this, that, and the other? First of all, her first objective was to make sure her son didn't have to see a dead body when he walked out the apartment complex in the morning. So check, we got that straightened up. Then, hey, I had a estimated monthly payment that I'm trying to stick to. Don, can you help me with that? Check, I got you on that. What about the schools? My son's young now, but he's going to go ahead and go to high school one day, or the school's rated high enough. Go to greatschools.org if you want to verify the school rating, and you can get a check on that. But do not Monday morning quarterback nobody's house when they buy a house. That's a pet peeve of a real estate agent. I had to share that. And on the spiritual side, I understand that it goes on in marriages. Do not Monday morning quarterback. If somebody chooses a wife, man, don't say, man, why you choose her? Well, I would have picked somebody else. Somebody choose a husband, don't say, hey, why you choose him? This and the other. Pray for people in their decision making. And if you want to add value as a friend, then what you can do is help them have resources to better their investment. So if I have a friend that bought a house that I might not have bought because I can afford Highland homes and they can only afford a KB home, I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, man, these are some of the upgrades in the Highland home. You know, you can go to Home Depot and you can buy some of these cosmetic upgrades that can go ahead and give you that Highland home feel on a KB budget. But at the same time, do not Monday morning quarterback. Once again, Don Davis, love where you live, love what you bought, love where you with, love who you're with, DDLRG. I am Don Davis of DDLRG Luxury International Real Estate, and when it's time to make a business decision about your residence, please keep in mind, it's a Don deal.
DDLRG is for all family groups, whether it's singles, married couples, or families. They specialize, however, in the higher-end upscale properties, but they can handle all borrowers.
We want to create raving fans.
When it's time to make a business decision about your residence, it's a Don deal. When it's time to make a business decision about your residence, that's what we're talking about on Don Davis Luxury Realty Group, DDLRG show. This is what we're talking about today. It's all about the business decision. It's not about being a fan of real estate. It's about being a practitioner. And the more you practice real estate, the better you get, the more you improve your craft. I get clients from time to time say, I don't have to use a realtor. I just used one, but I could have did it myself. I seriously doubt you could because you haven't practiced more than we have. The typical homeowner moves probably 3 times in a lifetime. We probably do up to, some of my colleagues do 3 transactions a week. So we sell about 3 houses a week. So we're going to do more in a week than you will do in a lifetime in the real estate business. So don't ever discount a realtor and try to tell them, hey, I didn't have to use a realtor. I chose to use a realtor. Well, you chose to make money. You made a great decision choosing to use a realtor. But You telling me that you didn't have to use a realtor is like a teenager telling his parents, I could have raised myself. I really didn't need your help. So I tell my teenagers all the time, don't even try to pay me back. You owe me more than I can calculate. So let's just go ahead and move forward, and God will pay me for blessing you. So keep in mind, for those who think it's so easy to do your real estate transaction yourself, you bought it yourself, you sold it yourself, you got lucky once, and you think you're a FISBO champion of the world, I gladly welcome you to take the Texas Real Estate Commission exam at any time, and I guarantee it could chew you up and spit you out. I know of attorneys that have failed that test. I know doctors that have failed that test. I know quite a few people who underestimate the power and the education that goes behind being a Texas licensed real estate agent. So that's a shout out to all my fellow agents that have passed that exam, to let them know that it's not an easy ordeal to become a real estate agent, but even more so, it's even harder to stay a real estate agent. Quite a few, I think it's a little bit over 80% of realtors don't renew their license after the first 2 years because they don't understand the complexity of being, first of all, self-employed, but at the same time adding the education piece to it. So not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm just saying, don't be a fan of real estate, be a practitioner. And the more you practice, the better you play. That's an old football analogy. You don't get great in the game, you get great at practice. That way, on game day, I had a coach, Vance Gibson, out Frisco, Texas. Now he's at East Texas Baptist University. He's one of my Facebook friends here. One thing I like about Vance Gibson, on game day, Coach Vance Gibson didn't even have to raise his voice, because Monday through Friday, we were so prepared that by game day, he had Doritos and Dr. Pepper and a V-neck sweater on, looking real cool, making those calls. So when it's all said and done, will the most prepared team win? Every time. And that's what it's all about when choosing a real estate agent or a broker. Is your real estate agent or broker prepared through market knowledge, knowing the going interest rate, knowing the flood zones, knowing the HOA deed restrictions, knowing the school ratings, knowing everything you need to know to where you have an exit strategy when it's time to sell your property? Because you don't make money when you buy a property. You don't make money when you sell a property. You make money when you buy a property. That way you sit on the equity like a bird sitting on an egg waiting for it to hatch. You want to be sitting on your equity. You don't want to wait for external factors, a wild card like the NFL playoffs. You have to wait for another team to beat another team to win. You don't want external factors to influence your destination. You want to go in so aggressive when you buy a home that you know you're sitting on equity and you control your own destination based on the appreciation and the quality of construction that you've chosen, but at the same time, not overbuying for the neighborhood. You never want to buy the biggest house in a development. You actually want to buy the smallest houses if it's an investment property. You want to buy the smallest house in the development. You want to buy at the very beginning of the development if it's a new construction properties. That way you don't have to do too much to the property. You can allow the builder to have their own price increases and their own additions to the community, to where you're slowly appreciating and establishing equity a lot quicker than the savings account. I get so many people who say, hey man, I have $100,000 in my savings account, and the interest rate on that savings account is next to nothing, while you have areas like the Heights and different other areas that are appreciating at close to double-digit rates. Why wouldn't you put that money in real estate instead of just watching it just sit there in the savings account? So I tell everybody that everything, if you look back, is biblical. And Jesus gave a man 3 talents. One buried the talent, one sold the talent, and then it's all about reaping. Seed time, reaping the harvest. You have to invest in high risk, high return, low risk, low return. You have to invest in yourself. Forgive me if I messed the scripture up. It's kind of warm in here today, but I can look it up. I know for a fact there's a story of talents in the Bible where one person invested their talent, one person sat on it, and one person went ahead and saved it. And it's all about what we call working capital. If your capital is working for you, you will work for it and will always bring a cash flow. We're going to go ahead and head to one more break. Keep in mind, love where you live, love where you work, love where you're from. DDLRG, love's going to get you. I am Don Davis of DDLRG Luxury International Real Estate, and when it's time to make a business decision about your residence, please keep in mind, it's a Don deal.
I thought that Don Davis was honest and fair. He made us feel like family.
He was very communicative and very informative.
He just helped me to make it very easy, pointed me in the right directions, and gave me a lot of information about what to look out, for.
When it's time to make a business decision about your residence, it's a Don deal. We're back. Touching on our listings now, the final segment where we give our sellers some love. We have some sellers out there who are trying to sell their property. We also have some buyers about to go under contract to take advantage of that homestead exemption. As long as you close on your house before December 30th of 2019, you get to take advantage of the homestead exemption to where you get to lower your property taxes. So you definitely want to make sure your agent is letting you know the advantages of buying a home before the end of the year is being able to file that homestead exemption directly through the county appraisal district. And you also want to realize that those things that come in the mail, that's a third party trying to get you to file your homestead exemption to a third party. You don't have no need to do that. You can go to hcad.org, Harris County Appraisal District.org, file an exemption. You can go to Fort Bend County Appraisal District.org, file an exemption. You go to Barry County out in San Antonio, bcad.org. It'll also tell you your assessed value. Now, your assessed value is not your market value. It's the opinion of value by the county on how much they think your house is worth. So you can also dispute that, or you can entertain it depending upon if it's low or high. Sometimes you don't want to fight it. You don't want to mess it up if they're undercharging you. If they're undercharging you, you want to kind of roll with what they recommend. But if they are overcharging you, you want to get a tax attorney or an agent to prepare a CMA and go ahead and dispute those property taxes. But the beginning of that is to close before the end of 2019 to go ahead and file your homestead exemption with your county appraisal district so you can take advantage of a lower payment every month when it comes to property taxes. And then also want to go ahead and mention we have some properties that we do have for sale right now. You can find those at viewallhoustonhomes.com, viewallhoustonhomes.com. If you want to learn more about our agents, exprealty.com. You can learn more about our agents with EXP, one of the fastest growing real estate companies in the United States. We have a great program where we're able to collaborate and at the same time revenue share and do some other income producing activities that allow our agents not only to help themselves grow, but to help the companies grow. And at the same time, we have some just additional benefits you would never even understand until you join EXP. I was with a few other franchises before EXP. And when I say I'm very happy with the move I've made in June, I made a move in June and about to cap already. And I have no plans on looking back. One thing about us is we are a technology driven real estate company, and that's very important. If your real estate company that you're with cannot speak meta tags, keywords, AdWords, tunnels, boosting, Facebook campaigns. If you can't speak any of that language there, you're going to get left behind. I'm not saying you can't sell houses, but you're going to be riding a horse while we're in the drop top Mustang. So you definitely want to take advantage of the technology and the tools that are in the real estate industry now to help your sellers sell them homes quicker. People say, well, Don, those tools don't do anything for me. That's the other. It's all about servicing the client. If I tell my client, hey, I can sell your house quicker because I have over 60 websites we syndicate to, and we have all this following, and we have all these agents that have instant access to your property. I'm not a one-man show. I have way better chances of getting your property sold for the highest amount, the quickest period of time. If you don't believe me, ask Larry Furrow, Seneca Williams, Pat Hayes, and the Go Irish. Ask all of them. They tune in every week on our Facebook Live campaign to learn more about how to sell your house for the highest amount, the quickest period of time. First of all, do not daddy ball. Daddy ball in real estate is saying, I love my house. I'm saying I'm not getting a third opinion of value to know what my house is actually worth. So we're going to wrap it up. Keep in mind, love where you live, love where you work, love where you're from, love your home, but at the same time, get an honest opinion of value. DDLRG, brokered by EXP. See you next week.
Do business with the best in the industry. Do business with the Davis Realty. Do business with the best in the industry. Do business with the Davis Realty. Do business with the best in the industry. Do business with the Davis Realty.